Hello, once again. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Read With Me, the financial freedom part. Okay, if you don't know, let me tell you. My name is Isabel. I'm one of the founders here at Billionairette. We are coming to you live, and most importantly, alive and well. And we're doing these Read With Me sessions every single day. Every single day, we're putting out content twice a day, both on personal and financial freedom. So we're reading 2 books every single month, one on personal freedom and one on financial freedom. If you have not checked out the personal freedom, we're reading Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. Powerful book. Fantastic. At first, we were kind of hesitant to read it, but the community voted and they're like, you know what, let's do the Courage is Calling. And now that we've got it almost halfway through it's a really dynamic book. So if you have read it, let us know in the comments. Let us know if you absolutely love it. We would love to hear from you. If you haven't read it, go back into the other videos that Vanessa, my partner here, both in life and business, she's reading. It's just dynamic. And especially the way she reads it, it makes you want to either get the book or just be courageous. Actually, both. Every single time that she reads that book, we find a new way to be courageous in our thoughts, in our actions, and the way that we show up each and every day. So for the personal freedom, we are reading The CASHFLOW Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. We are on chapter 6. This is part 2 of the chapter 6 because it's a very intense chapter. Like, Robert's not playing around with this one. If you haven't checked out part 1, it's a longer video, but it has so many nuggets in there that, you just have to really understand what's happening, because he doesn't go over surface level stuff. He actually has specific questions that you should be asking when you're about to make an investment. You should be asking your financial advisor, your CPA, your tax accountant, all the people that are in your team. You should be asking them. And then he goes into why your home is no liability. Your home is really the biggest liability of all, and how it actually shows up in the asset column for the banks. Like, you literally don't own your house. And he shares how that actually works. What's the breakdown of it? Let's just put it this way. I was mind blown. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Before you go do so, make sure to hit like. It's not just for me, it's for you. Because if you like something, it shows a sense of gratitude. It shows a sense of awareness. It shows a level of you know what? I'm gonna like this today, and I'm gonna like me even more. So make sure to hit the like, the subscribe, the share, hit the bell, do what you gotta do. Because our mission here is to impact the lives of 4 billion souls. And we can't do that. I can't just do that alone. Okay? I can't. But we can actually work together and make that happen. And we believe that if you can be financially educated, you can avoid a lot of the mistakes that maybe the past generation has brought down to you, or what society keeps continuing to fill your constant negativity news, CNN type of model. Block all that noise, get to the point, and be intentional with your decisions. So that's what we're here to do. And also, to get to that level of financial literacy, financial confidence, financial everything, really, it all starts within. So that's where the personal freedom side comes into play. And it's great to build up both asset columns within yourself, personal and financial, and reach the highest level that you can go. So I'm so excited for you. I'm going to dive into chapter 6. Okay, chapter 6, and we're going to be in it's my page 134, and we're starting off with why you don't get a tax break from your saving money. Okay, for you to save money, you're not getting any tax breaks. That's how Robert is starting off this chapter, y'all. And not gonna lie, I absolutely love Robert. He has made these books timeless, especially with right now with everything that's happening. A lot of the stuff that he's mentioning are not gonna go anywhere. It's actually being heavily discussed right now in the news and how the climate is right now. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that we have the ability to share this platform with you so you can be financially aware of what's going on. So if you do have your physical book, join me and follow along. I'm going to dive into it, and that's really one of the best ways to learn, is to really follow while you're listening in. So if you're a kinesthetic learner, you already know that's one way to actually grasp information. So let's get to work, right? Awesome. All right, so why you don't get a tax break for saving money. If you notice, you get a tax break for buying a house and going into debt, but you don't get a tax break for saving money. Have you ever wondered why? I'm not sure either, but I imagine that one big reason is because your savings are they're a liability to a bank. Why would they ask the government to pass a law that would encourage you to put even more money in their bank? Money that is a liability to them. They don't need your savings. So he's going into it. Besides, banks really don't need your savings. They don't need much in deposits because they can magnify money at least 10 times. If you put $1 in the bank, by law, the bank can lend out $10. And depending upon the reserve limits imposed by the central bank, possibly much more. That means that your single dollar suddenly becomes $10 or more. It's magic! When my rich dad showed me that, I fell in love with that idea. At that point, I knew what I wanted to own. It was actually a bank and not go to school. Okay. So at that point, I knew that I wanted to own a bank and not go to school to become a banker. On top of that, the bank may pay less than 1% interest on that $1. In better economic times, it could be 5%. And you, as a consumer, would feel secure because the bank is paying you something on your money. Banks see this as a good customer relations because if you have savings with them, you may come in and borrow money too. They want you to do this because they can charge 9% or more on what you borrow. While you may make less than 1% in your dollar, the bank can actually make 9% or more on the $10 of debt your single dollar has generated. Recently, I received a new credit card offer that advertised 8.9% interest, but since I understood the legal jargon in the fine print, I saw it was actually really 23%. Needless to say, I took a pass. That's strong. And if you haven't checked out the previous chapter, he actually shows how in a mortgage, typically people may have maybe an 8% interest. And he actually showed how that 8% over 30 years is really 160%. And how you're not really winning with the bank. The bank is really taking advantage of you. So it's pretty crazy. They get your savings anyway, he says. The other reason they don't offer a tax break for savings is more obvious. You can read the numbers and see which way the cash is actually flowing. You'll notice that they'll get your savings anyway. The money you could be saving in your asset column is flowing instead out of your liability column in the form of interest payments on your mortgage. This ends up in the bank's asset column. The cash flow pattern looks like this. So he has two pictures. Okay, take a look at that. And with that, your financial statement, all your expenses are coming directly from your liabilities, which is your mortgage, and that is your mortgage interest. But the bank's financial statements is because your house is actually an asset to them. All of that asset goes into an income because it's interest payments. Okay? That's why they don't need the government to give you a tax incentive to save. They'll get your savings anyways in the form of interest payments on debt. Politicians aren't about to mess with the system because the banks, insurance companies, building industries, brokerage houses, and other contribute a lot of money to their campaigns. And the politicians know the name of the game. And he goes into what is the name of the game. So in 1974, my rich dad was upset because the game was played against me and I didn't know it. I had bought this investment property and had taken a losing position, yet I'd been led to believe I was in the winning position. I'm glad you entered the game, said Rich Dad, but because no one has ever told you what the game is, you've just been suckered over to the losing team. Rich Dad said, and then explained to me the basics of the game. The name of the game of capitalism is who is indebted to whom. Once I knew the game, I could be a better player instead of someone who just had the game run all over them. The more people you are indebted to, the poorer you are. The more people that you are indebted to, the poorer you are. And the more people you have indebted to you, the wealthier you are. That's the game. That's what Rich Dad told him. As I said, I struggled to keep my mind open, so I stayed silent and let him explain. And then Rich Dad was like, we're all in debt to someone else. The problems occur when the debt gets out of balance. Unfortunately, the poor people of this world have been run over so hard by the game that they often can't get any deeper into debt. The same is true for poor countries. The world simply takes from the poor, the weak, and the financially uninformed. If you have too much debt, the world takes everything you have, including your time, your work, your home, your life, your confidence, even your dignity, if you let them. I don't make the rules, but I do know the game. And I'll play the game extremely well. I'll explain the game to you if you want to learn to play. Then, after you've mastered the game, you can decide what to do with what you know. So he goes, so now Robert's like, listen, y'all, money is debt. Rich Dad went on to explain that even our currency isn't an instrument of equity, but an instrument of debt. Every dollar used to be backed by gold or silver, but is now an IOU guaranteed to be paid by taxpayers of the issuing country. As long as the rest of the world has confidence in the American taxpayer to work and pay for this IOU called money, the world has confidence in our dollar. If the key element of money, confidence, suddenly disappears, the economy comes down like a house of cards. Take the example of the German Weimar government marks that became utterly worthless just before the World War II. As one story goes, an elderly woman was pushing a wheelbarrow full of marks to buy a loaf of bread. When she turned back, someone stole the wheelbarrow and left a pile of worthless money all over the street. That's why most money today is known as fiat money. Money that cannot be converted to something tangible like gold or silver. The money is only as good as people have confidence in the government backing it. Today, much of the global economy is based on debt and confidence. As long as we all keep holding hands and no one breaks ranks, everything will be fine. By the way, the word fine is my acronym for feeling insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's a good one. I always wondered why, when you're like trading in crypto, why money is called fiat, but that makes sense. Who is indebted to whom? Going back to 1974, when I was learning how to buy that 56,000 condo, my rich dad taught me an important lesson on how to structure deals. Who is indebted to whom is the name of the game. And somebody just stuck you with the debt. It's like going to dinner with 10 friends. You go to the restroom, and when you come back, the bill is there. But all 10 friends, they're gone. If you're going to play the game, then you better understand the rules. Speak the same language and know with whom you're playing. If you don't, instead of playing the game will be played on you. It's only a game. At first, I got angry at what Rich Dad was saying, but I listened and I did my best to understand. Finally, he put it into context that I could understand. You love playing football, don't you? He asked. I nodded my head. Yes, I love the game. Well, money is my game, said Rich Dad. I love the money game. But for many people, money isn't a game, I said. That's correct, said Rich Dad. For most people, it's survival. For most people, money is a game they're forced to play, and they hate it. Unfortunately, the more civilized we get, the more money becomes part of our lives. Rich Dad drew the cash flow quadrant again in front of me. The E, the S, B, and I. Just look at this as a tennis court, football field, or soccer field. If you're going to play the game, the money game, which team do you want to be on? E's, S's, B's, or I's? Or which side of the court do you want to be on? The right side or the left side? I quickly pointed to the right side. If you take on debt and risk, you should be paid. Good, said Rich Dad. That's why we can't go out there to play the game and believe some sales agent when he tells you that to lose $150 a month for 30 years is a good deal because the government will give you a tax break for losing money, and he expects the price of real estate to just go up. You simply can't play the game with that mindset. While those opinions might come true, that's just not the way the game is played on the right side of the cash flow quadrant. Someday, somebody is telling you to go into debt, take all the risk, and pay for it. People on the left side think that's a good idea, but not the people on the right. I was shaking a little. Looking at it my way, said Rich Dad, you're willing to pay $56,000 for this condo in the sky. You're signing for the debt and taking all the risk. The tenant pays less in rent than what it costs to live there. So you're subsidizing that person's housing. Does that make sense to you? I just shook my head. My Rich Dad was like, this is the way I play the game, all right? From now on, if you take on debt and risk, then you should get paid. Got that? Get paid, y'all. Get paid. Making money is common sense. It's not rocket science, but unfortunately, when it comes to money, common sense is uncommon. A banker tells you to take on debt so the government can give you a tax break. That doesn't make fundamental economic sense. Then a real estate agent tells you to sign papers because he can find a tenant who will pay you less than what you're paying. But in his opinion, the value of the condo will go up. If that makes sense to you, then I just don't share the same common sense. I just stood there. I mean, I heard everything he was saying, and I had to admit that I'd gotten so excited by what I thought looked like a good deal that my logic went out the window and I didn't actually analyze the deal. And because the deal looked good, I had become emotional with greed and excitement, and I was no longer able to hear what the numbers and the words were telling me. That's strong. Logic went out the window and I didn't analyze the deal. Because the deal looked good, I had become emotional with greed and excitement. Therefore, I was no longer able to hear what the numbers and the words were telling me. Emotions cloud logic. Emotions cloud logic. Okay? It was then that Rich Dad gave me an important rule that he has always used. Your profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. Rich Dad had to be certain that whatever debt or risk he took on, it made sense from the day he bought it in. It had to make sense if the economy got worse, and it had to make sense if the economy got better. He never bought on tax tricks or crystal ball forecasts of the future. A deal had to make sound economic sense in good times and in bad. I was beginning to understand the game of money as he saw it. Clearly, the game was to see others become indebted to you and to be careful to whom you become indebted to. Today, I still hear his words. If you take on risk and debt, make sure you get paid for it. Rich Dad had debt, but he was careful when he took it on. If you take on debt personally, make sure it's small. If you take on large debt, make sure someone else is paying for it. He saw the game of money and debt as a game that is played on you, played on me, played on everyone. It played from business to business, and it played from country to country. To him, it was only a game. But for most people, money isn't a game, it's survival. And because no one explained the game to them, they still believe bankers who says that a house is an asset. The importance of facts versus opinions. Rich Dad continued his lesson. If you want to be successful on the right side, you've got to know the difference between facts and opinions. You can't blindly accept financial advice the way people on the left side do. You must know the numbers. The numbers will tell you all the facts. The financial survival depends upon facts, not some friend or advisor's wordy opinions. And then I was like, I don't understand. What's the big deal about something being a fact or opinion? Is one better than the other? I asked. And he said, no. Just know when something is a fact and when something is an opinion. I was still puzzled. I stood there with a confused look on my face. So my rich dad was like, what is your family's home worth? And then I replied, oh, I know. My parents are thinking about selling, so they had a real estate agent come in and do an appraisal. They said the house was worth $36,000. That means my dad's net worth increased by $16,000 because they only paid $20,000 for it 5 years ago. Okay, so is the appraisal and your dad's net worth a fact, or are they an opinion? Well, I thought about it for a while and understood what he was getting at. Both are opinions, aren't they? My rich dad nodded his head. Very good. Most people struggle financially because they spend their lives using opinions rather than facts when making financial decisions. Opinions such as your house is an asset, the price of real estate always goes up, blue chip stocks are your best investment, it takes money to make money, stocks have always outperformed real estate, you should diversify your portfolio, you have to be dishonest to be rich, investing is risky, and playing it safe. Those are all opinions, okay? And Robert was like, I sat there deep in thought, realizing that most of what I've heard about money at home was really people's opinions, not facts. It hit him hard. So I asked him, I asked my rich dad, is gold an asset? Snapping me out of my, well, no. Okay, let's go back. My rich dad asked, hey, is gold an asset? Snapping me out of my daydream. And then I replied, yes, of course, I replied. It's the only real money that has withstood the test of time. See, there you go, again, smiled Rich Dad. All you're doing is repeating someone else's opinion about what is an asset rather than checking out the facts. That's good. Gold is only an asset. By my definition, if you buy it for less than you sell it for, Rich Dad said slowly. In other words, if you bought it for $100 and sold it for $200, then it was an asset. But if you bought 1 ounce for $200 and then you sold it for $100, then that gold in that transaction was a total liability. It is the actual financial numbers of the transaction that ultimately tell you the facts. In reality, the only thing that is an asset or a liability is you, because only you can make decisions that make gold an asset or a liability. That is why financial education is so important. I've seen so many people take a perfectly good business or a piece of real estate and turn it into a financial nightmare. Many people do the same in their personal lives. They take their hard-earned money and create a lifetime of financial liabilities. I was even more confused, a little hurt inside, and wanted to argue. Rich Dad was toying with my brain. Many a man has been suckered because he didn't know the facts. Every day, I hear horror stories of someone who lost all their money because they thought an opinion was a fact. It's okay to use an opinion when making a financial decision, but you must know the difference. Millions of people have made life decisions based on opinions handed down from generation to generation, and then they wonder why they struggle financially. So what kind of opinions? I asked. Rich Dad chuckled to himself before he answered. Well, let me just give you a few common ones that we've all heard, and he lists like a lot. And these are a few, okay? You should marry him, he'll make a good husband, find a secure job and stay there all your life. Doctors make a lot of money, they have a big house, they must be rich. He has big muscles, he must be healthy. This is a nice car, it's only being driven by a little old lady. There is not enough money for everyone to be rich. The earth is flat, humans will never fly, he's smarter than your sister, bonds are safer than stocks. People who make mistakes are stupid. He will never sell for such a low price. She will never go out with me. Investing is risky, I will never be rich. I didn't go to college, so I'll never get ahead. You should diversify your investments. You should not diversify your investments. These are all opinions, okay? That's what Rich Dad was telling him. Rich Dad went on and on until finally he could tell I was tired of hearing his examples of opinions. Okay, I've had enough. Okay, what's your point? Thought you'd never stop me, Rich Dad said, smiling. The point is that most people's lives are determined by others' opinions rather than the facts. For a person's life to change, they first need to change their opinions and then start looking at the facts. If you can read financial statements, you'll be able to see the facts of an individual or a company's financial success rather than going by your opinions, yours or someone else's. As I said, one is not better than the other, but To be successful in life, especially financially, you must know the difference. If you can't verify something as a fact, then it's an opinion. Financial blindness occurs when a person can't read a financial statement, leaving them to rely on someone else's opinion. Financial insanity is caused when opinions are used as facts. If you want to be on the right side of the cash flow quadrant, you must know the difference between facts and opinions. Few lessons are more important than this one. That's strong. Don't just go by what people say. Go by the actual facts. So like if you're about to invest into something, make sure that you have the actual proper facts, and you're not just relying on someone. That's why it's so important. Like whenever we do master classes or like even videos in our community, or whenever we share stuff on YouTube and it's about stuff that we've done in our investments, we always say that it's not financial advice, because some people may take it literal, some people are not financially educated, and they might go ahead and do that and then blame it back on you because of their ignorance, versus looking at the facts, doing their own research, implementing their own research, and then going by maybe a tutorial out there and then implementing it, testing it out, and seeing what's up. Okay, it's so important, especially in today's time where people want things done by yesterday and they expect results by like the second they make the decision. So it's so important to not just go by opinions, go by facts. Get them financials. Okay, I sat there listening quietly, doing my best to understand what he was saying. It was obvious, a simple concept, yet it was larger than my brain could actually accept at that moment. So he asked, "Do you know what due diligence is?" I shook my head, no. Due diligence simply means doing your homework and finding out which statements are opinions and which are facts. When it comes to money, most people are either lazy or searching for shortcuts, so they don't do their due diligence. And there are still others who are so afraid of making mistakes that all they do is due diligence and then do nothing. Too much due diligence is also called analysis paralysis. So true. The point is that you must know how to sift through facts and opinions and then make your own decision. As I said, most people are in financial trouble today simply because they've taken too many shortcuts and are making their lives financial decisions based upon opinions, often in the opinions of an E or an S, and they are not facts. If you want to be an B or an I, you must keenly be aware of that difference. I didn't fully appreciate Rich Dad's lesson that day, yet few lessons have served me better than that one. Years later, in the early 1990s, shout out to any 90s babies out there, Rich Dad watched the stock market climb out of sight. His only comment was, "That's what happens when highly paid employees or self-employed people with big paychecks, paying excessive amounts in taxes, greatly in debt, and with other paper assets in their portfolio, begin handing out investment advice. Millions are about to get hurt following the opinions of people who think they know the facts." Warren Buffett, America's greatest investor, once said, "If you're in a poker game and after 20 minutes you don't know who the patsy is, then you're the patsy." Why people struggle financially. Would you believe that most people will be in debt from the day they leave school until the day they die? Well, it's true. This is the average middle class financial picture. You get a job, it goes into your income, and then all of your income goes into liabilities like mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, school loans. And then all those liabilities end up becoming expenses as well, because it comes out of your paycheck. This is the diagram that he's showing, you know? And then he goes into, well, this is someone else's balance sheet, okay? If you now understand the game, then you may realize that those liabilities must show up on somebody else's balance sheet as assets. So if you have liabilities, someone else has the same exact thing, but it's in their asset column. So, same thing. Your mortgages, your cars, your car loans, your credit card debt, your school loans, that is someone else's balance sheet, and all they have is assets. Anytime you hear these words, low down payment, easy monthly payments, or hey, don't worry, the government will give you a tax break for those losses, then you know someone is luring you into the game. If you want to be financially free, you've got to become smarter than that. Most people don't have anyone who is indebted to them. They have no real assets. Things that put money back into their pocket. That's what a real asset is. And they're often indebted to everyone else. That's why they cling to job security and struggle financially. If it weren't for the job, they'd be broke in a flash. In fact, the average American is less than 3 paychecks away from bankruptcy. They seek a better life and get run over by the game because the deck is stacked against them. They still think their house, car, golf clubs, clothes, vacation home, and other doodads are assets. They believe what someone else tells them because they can't read financial numbers to see the truth for themselves. Most people go to school and learn to be players in the game, but no one explains the rules to them. No one tells them that the name of the game is who is indebted to whom. And because no one tells them that, they're the ones who become indebted to everyone else. He concludes, money is an idea. I hope you now understand the basics of the cash flow quadrant and know that money isn't an idea. Money is really an idea, okay? Money is really an idea that is more clearly seen with your mind than with your eyes. Learning the game of money and how it is played is an important part of your journey to the financial freedom of your life. Even more important is who you need to become to move to the right side of the cash flow quadrant. Part 2 of this book focuses on bringing out the best of you and on analyzing the formula. Be, do, and have. That is the beginning formula of part 2, which we will be going over in the next chapter number 7, lucky number 7. And honestly, what a chapter. Chapter 6 was. Some really, really good takeaways was if you can read financial statements, you'll be able to see the facts of an individual or a company's financial success rather than going by their opinions. Okay? You got to do your due diligence. And another thing that was really powerful is that if you take on debt personally, make sure that it's small. If you take on large debt, make sure someone else is paying for that debt. Okay? That is really, really important. And the last one, it is the actual financial numbers of that transaction that ultimately tell you the facts. So you have to take a look at what you're actually moving around and how those numbers make sense to actually associate an asset or a liability. Once again, I mean, I'm so grateful for the ability to read, understand, take all this in, I'm grateful because now I have the opportunity to change how after me, the generation that comes after me, or our children, even my brother, our family, our parents, they're not going to be in the same position I'm not going to be in the same position as my parents. I'm not going to be in the same position as my grandparents. I'm going to be in a different level and have the ability to take care of them, nurture them the way that I've always wanted. Because I'm going to be able to attract money, have the money come into my hand, nurture that money, and multiply it over and over and over again. And because I'm saying this to you and I'm sharing with you like something that's flowing through me right now, I hope that this has brought enlightenment to you and that you're able to take this and navigate through what you want to accomplish within your particular assets and what you're building into your financial portfolio and what you want your strategy to be. Okay, because there's so many opportunities, especially with technology that's advancing and decentralized, and opportunities, and of course the cryptocurrency opportunities. So if you are interested in all of that, we have amazing experts that will be joining conversations in the Billionaire community, and we're going to be interviewing them. We're going to be asking them questions. We're going to be getting more insight of that space, because from the outside looking in, it could be very intimidating. But once you get the nitty-gritty stuff, once you start learning how to do this, and that, now it just becomes like an investment, like gateway. Like it just, there's no cap, there's no ceiling. And most importantly, you can become your own bank. Okay. So if you're interested in all that, check out the Billionaire Inner Circle. Like I mentioned, this is not just a book club that we're doing here. We're actually implementing the strategies. We're following through with different opportunities, and it's all based on community. So connect with those that are doing, connect with the 3%ers of the world, connect with the people that are in it to win it. And you will soon notice that you will change, you will improve, you will grow, and you will love even more. So I'm so excited for you. And just one last thing, because you mentioned, if you are not playing the game right, then you feel like money is for survival. But you have to choose which side you want to be on. Like, what kind of game are you playing? What side do you want to be on? The winning side, where things, not people necessarily, but things are indebted to you and now they're paying you, they're putting back into your wallet, into your pocket. Or the other option is having the game play you. You know, have you ever met someone that you're playing, it could be like checkers or something, and they just don't know how to play the game, and then you just beat them really fast and you're like, okay, that was easy. Do you not know how to play? You know, sometimes you want a little competition, you want to make things awesome. Gift yourself the ability to learn something new so the game gets better and better and better. So, all right, enough with the rant. Okay, I'm so excited for chapter 7. It's going to be on, and I feel it, because now part 2, check this out. Becoming who you are. Chapter 7 is going to be amazing. I really feel it. So make sure to check it out. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share it with your mom, your dad, your aunt. Do what you got to do. It's time for them to get financially woke. And thanks to you, they're making that shift in their life. So excited for you and all the blessings heading your way. Talk to you soon.